Hello and welcome back to The Modern Leader Way, where this week I am joined by the wonderful couple who are the hosts of our retreat in Spain, Pat and Jane Bryan. Welcome.
Hi.
So I really wanted to have these guys on just to talk about, their place in Spain, the one that we're actually going to be hosting the retreat at, and what their role is, but also a bit about their background, their story, because they've got a great story about how they've ended up in Spain and doing this work. So last week, I spoke on the podcast about my visit to see you guys and how I was so grateful for your hospitality. So thank you again for having me and for just welcoming me into your home. And I think that's the first thing, right? Like this is a almost like purpose-built place that you've got that's got the 10 bedrooms, like everyone can have their own room, everyone can have their own bathroom, they've got their own privacy, but you very much want people to feel like they're at home.
Yeah, so that's my first thing. When we do the welcome with the homemade sangria, which apparently is better than the Spanish sangria with my special twist. I always say to people, what I want you to do is to feel like this is your home. And on day one and day two, they're a little bit, but by day three, we're all okay. And then I always ask at the end, did I manage to achieve what my goal was, which is to make you feel so comfortable this is your home? And everybody has said yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, we want everybody to experience it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that looks like, if someone's up late at night and they can't sleep and they want to make themselves a cup of tea, they can do that,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I love that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your role when, obviously I'm hosting a retreat or I'm facilitating the retreat in terms of I'm facilitating the sessions. We've set up between us what the itinerary is going to be. We've like arranged, or you've arranged for a yoga instructor if that's what we want to do, that kind of thing. But tell us like what we see of you on the actual retreat itself and what we can expect from you, like how you make your roles kind of amazing.
So I think we like to see ourselves as your in-house retreat team. So we're here to make sure everything runs smoothly. If there was any problems with the airport transfers, if there was any problems with one of, say, the yoga teacher was running late or something like that, we're here to make sure that that doesn't impact you. We would rather come to you with a solution rather than a problem. So we all say, this has happened, but we've sorted it out and it's going to happen like this.
Um,
I mean, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, we had a retreat here when the whole of Spain went
yeah.
down.
Oh yeah.
And they were on a writing retreat using their
Oh my
computers. So
God.
it's just like, so obviously we thought it was just a bit of a temporary blackout. We went up to the village and it was like, no, it's a cyber attack. That's what we thought it was at the time. So it's like, Christ, what do we do? We have got no electricity. We have got no water. We That was their last, that day was all the food we had. I hope the shops are open tomorrow. And of course, we didn't have electricity or anything the next day. So it's like, just go to the market. Hopefully it's on, grab all the food. And of course, they didn't see all the panic that was going on in the background. It was like, oh my God, we've got no water. We're going to. They didn't see that. We just said, right, this has happened very calmly. It wasn't calm inside. Very calmly, this has happened. This is the solution.
Mhm.
And they were very thankful and very appreciative because I met the PA of the woman that was running it, and she said you handled it amazing.
Yeah.
Not one person knew. I mean, obviously they knew there was no electricity, but no one knew how much you two were panicking inside. I went, we definitely were.
Yeah, that was
An
probably an
extreme,
extreme
very much an
example. We wouldn't
extreme.
want to go through that every week. I thought they might still be here now, actually, to tell the truth. Uh, but yeah, and I suppose it is a perfect example, actually, that we are here to go the extra mile to make sure that your retreat, not only your retreat, but your guest retreat is as stress-free as possible. One of the things we pride ourselves on is catering for all dietary requirements, so people don't have to worry that they're going to get here and have nothing to eat, or they're going to eat a plate of chips every day because that's all they can eat.
I mean, we did have one guest here. She just before she came here, she went on a 5-star holiday. She was really severe celiac. All she could have every day was a plate of chips.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
And she was very nervous about coming here because of her dietary issues. But she said, I think it was on day two, she said, I've never been anywhere, never, that has catered for me as much as you guys have catered for me. And she put it on the celiac website as well.
Oh,
For people to come
brilliant.
here.
That was good. I think that's just
an example. We want you to come here and be relaxed enough that you can enjoy the process. It's a bit, I suppose, in a way, it's a bit like getting married, isn't it? It can be a terribly stressful day if you don't have someone that you have confidence in the background.
Yeah.
I've never used that analogy before.
There
I
you
don't know
go.
if I will
Go.
again. It's it is just about, if you're relaxed and your guests are relaxed, it makes the whole process just so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, that was like a big selling point when I spoke to you guys originally at the big festoon. I was like, okay, so there's me thinking I'm going to have to like book an Airbnb somewhere, source caterers in a foreign country, cleaners, all that kind of thing. But actually, you take care of all of it. So that was like a big
Yeah.
selling point for me. And then the fact that you guys are just like amazing and warm and welcoming and all the things is an added bonus. So
Oh, thank
I
you.
love
You can
that.
come again.
How about September?
Of course. I think we've got a slot in the diary for you.
Amazing. So September 24th to 28th.
Yeah.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. But why don't we? I love the examples of all the retreats that you've hosted actually. So feel free to weave them in. Like don't be shy about that. But
Yeah.
why don't we like I'm really interested in pulling out your like individual and your stories as a couple, right? And the fact that you've ended up in Spain just before
Yeah.
COVID.
Just
So
before COVID.
why don't
Yeah.
you like wind it right back? Tell us about how you've ended up doing this now. Like, what's the story? I don't know who wants to go first.
Look, I'll start with the fact that Boris Johnson got in and I could not live in the UK anymore. Over to Pat.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think we are perhaps getting on a bit in years, and we needed one last spin of the dice or spin of the wheel, throw of the dice, one last adventure. We always used to like that program, Bargain Hunting Brits in Benidorm, and we had this idea of me and Jane in our mobility scooters pottering along the seafront in Benidorm.
Well, we would fail because we don't drink, so that would have been a bit of
Well,
an
yeah,
issue.
but it was a bit of a pipe dream. Self-employed people don't have a set date for retirement. So we had both, well, we were both trainers when
Always.
we were in the UK. Jane was working in the beauty and holistic and aesthetic world. I was mostly originally working with barbers, teaching them cutthroat razor shaving, which was a niche market. Um, from that, we developed our own technique for dermaplaning, which is a hugely popular beauty treatment, which is I'm not going to say a part of it is removing the vellus hair from the face, but it is actually a skin treatment, and that gave us, after an immense amount of work for 3 or 4 years, a nice little nest egg, didn't it? And we come to the conclusion that maybe we could start looking for a place in Spain to run as a training academy rather than a retreat or a retirement.
But retreat was never on the horizon.
Mm.
Never.
No, so people would come to us rather than us spending endless hours behind the wheel of a car going up and down the country. And we started looking late September, was it 2019? The second time we came over, we found this magnificent house that we now call home. We made a rather cheeky offer. Jane made
I
it.
made a very cheeky offer.
I was going to just throw cash at them to give us the keys. But, everything went very quickly, and we ended up moving in on
But
2nd of
you've missed a
January.
bit. When we came here, we both looked at each other and said, "This isn't a training academy. This is a retreat." Being cocky that you've never run a retreat, but it must be so easy to do so. So yeah, so we put the offer in. It was finally accepted. Well, within 4 days, I flew back. We flew back over to Spain. We signed everything because in Spain, once you sign the contract, if they pulled out, because it was a very cheeky offer, if they pulled out, they would have to pay us double the deposit back. So that was my thinking. And then as we were signing it with this Spanish man that was translating it into English, the contract, no English I've ever heard of before, I might add. They said, "When do you want to move in?" And for some reason, I have no idea why, I said 2nd of January. So this was now November the 14th, 15th, something like that.
Yeah.
2nd of January.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then the 3rd of January, we sat here and thought, right, what do we do now? Better have a plan.
And then we were fully booked the first year, which was amazing. And then something called the Big C happened, didn't it? COVID.
Yeah.
And then before we'd even run one retreat, we closed for 2 years because Spain was very strict. And yeah, Spain was very strict. We weren't allowed to open, which was good in hindsight. I always think the universe gives you what you need, not sometimes what you want. And if we had opened up in March, well, it was the end of March, was our first retreat, no way in hell would we have been ready. No way in hell.
No.
Because when we moved in, it was very much like a Blackpool B&B. And it was just that was the thing I didn't like about the house. It was a Blackpool B&B. And after we'd gone to see it, I'd hired an apartment because it was Pat's 60th birthday. So he got a lovely house for his 60th. I hired an apartment in Alicante. And as I walked in the apartment, I then had the vision. So then I was all for the house. So it was still Blackpool B&B-ish to a degree, wasn't it, at that point? But yeah, during lockdown, we had so much work done, probably more work than because everyone was bored, probably more work than we should have had done. Yeah, and then we opened up, but it was almost like, although we were fully booked that first year, after 2 years, we were starting from scratch again, like everybody in the world, weren't they? So, yeah.
But that's how we
That's
got
how we got here. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And do you still have people come to you for training, like that original purpose that you had for it?
Yes, I mean, at the end of June, 23rd of June, I think I've got some ladies coming over, I do have men as well. Got some ladies coming over and I'm teaching them a facial sculpting. So it's teaching them gua sha, facial cupping and natural facial massage. So yeah, so I still do the training retreats. But we're so busy with everything else that's going on. I don't have a lot of time to dedicate, as you know, to marketing it. So yeah.
And like, let's not forget that you've also got like a dedicated spa at this house. So, and you guys actually do the treatments as well, right?
We
These
do.
are treatments we can book in. Tell us a little bit about the treatments. What's your favorite? What's people?
Well, it's very weird because all my life, not all my life, I very much, if I get a channel and I'm channeled to do a lot of stuff in my life that I have no idea why I'm doing it, but I sit there and think, well, it must be a reason. So we've gone to India a lot. I love Ayurvedic treatments. I went on an Ayurvedic path. Where I was in Winchester, people weren't interested in that. They were interested in skin and skin solutions. So sort of that went on the back pipe. Then I was guided to do hypnotherapy, but sort of that I was very successful in the UK, but here, not so successful. And lots of things that I've done in my life, it now all makes sense as to why I was guided that way. So I love doing my Ayurvedic treatments in the spa. So like we do, the proper traditional Indian head massage, the proper Indian massages, all the proper Indian facials, lots of abdomen treatments because our second brain, where we hold all our emotion, is in our stomach as well. And just a release that people get and they come, God, I didn't think you could feel like that. So yeah, I love my Ayurvedic treatments. I still do like skin like aesthetic skin treatments for the locals, but it's not really what people want in the spa when they come here. And then you do all the massage.
Yes. So I've been, I suppose it's remedial masseur, I'd say. I mean, I've trained in sports massage and deep tissue, but it's more for the damage that we do to ourselves rather than injury based. Being hunched over computers all day long or steering wheels, ovens. Yeah, actually, I like to bring my posture. I'm going to slouch again. So that's my little niche within the spa. Is we call it the Pat Special. It's 30 odd years of knowledge distilled into a wonderful back, neck, and shoulder massage. Actually,
even if he says so himself, no, he does get praise for his back, neck, and yeah. And interestingly, people always assume I'm the cook in the household, but Pat is the cook. He does all the cooking. Sometimes he wears his chef hat and his chef's apron. If you're lucky,
I wear the apron.
Not the hat. We'll have to get him using.
I have a metaphorical chef's hat, not an actual one. One of the hats I wear, isn't it?
And I have sampled the food, and you put on some of your best recipes for me when I was there. So yeah, I can vouch for the food, the quality of the food, and the thought that goes into it.
We try and keep it. I suppose a lot of it is relevant to the area we live in. We live in Spain. We live in Andalusia. Tapas is very famous. So they say Andalusia is the birthplace of tapas. I think probably every region in Spain claims that, actually. But we do tapas one night. We do. This
Moroccan
area
night.
was ruled by the Moors for hundreds of years, so there is still a Moorish influence in a lot of the cooking here.
In fact, we're just about to go into our Moors and Christians festival,
Mm.
which is something that you just can't explain it. You just can't. You just have to see it. It is amazing, isn't it?
It's a huge party.
Yeah. I say the festival. He talks about the party.
And there's some fun nights like the pizza night and things like that, which are always crowd pleasers.
Yeah.
But what I loved about what you sort of demonstrated was like the paella, for example, was vegan paella, and then you did the meat on the side. So it's like it caters again for all those diets.
Yeah, we don't want anyone to feel, even those that like celiac, and we don't want them to feel excluded. The only thing we do is obviously with the celiac, you've got to be really, really careful with spoons and cutlery and cross-contamination. So we do have to put their food on a separate table, but they're eating the same style of food as everybody else, but it's just obviously very different terms of ingredients. So it's not like you're just having whatever today and everyone else is having an amazing food. We do try and cater for all of that, don't we?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think it's very that was another kind of selling point for me, was it's in line with what I want to do with taking people out of their busy kind of schedules, like the chaos of life, that treadmill that I talk about. Let them get off, let them take that pause and that real deep breath. And we are gonna go deep in the sessions, there's no doubt about it. But the fact that we're eating this fresh homemade food that's very local to the area, the fact that you guys can take care of them with these holistic treatments, it's all kind of part of the parcel. So I love that.
No, I think it is part and parcel of what we offer. And I think for the type of retreat you're doing, like you said, it's going to be lots of deep work going on there. You do sometimes need not to have those other distractions in your life, whether it's being in a noisy town or, I mean, the noisiest it gets down here is when the goats are out in the Rambler and they're bleating a little bit.
Oh no, the horses were at the horses were out. There's a guy down the road who's got, how many horses he got? I don't know, because they keep having babies. So the horses got, when we first came here, we kept taking the horses back thinking they'd escaped. It's just like, no, they're just feeding. Okay. So we had the horses out yesterday, and we often have the pony and track going up the Rambler, because obviously they do a lot of pony and track racing around here still. So it's all very, where we are, it's still very traditional Spain, isn't it? I mean, I'm just looking out here, there's no one down the Rambler. I can see all the mountains all around me, and just quietness. As you know, you saw it, you heard the quietness. And wherever there are so many places here where if you are going deep and people just need to escape, there's many places they can go and be on their own if they want to.
There's so many nooks and crannies. There's a little Moroccan snug. There's like I loved that as well.
Because you didn't see the whole Moroccan area in its full glory, did you? I don't think we had it out then, did we?
No, because it had been wet.
Yes, it had been wet. But now, since we landed, coming back from EE, we landed at 30 degrees. I left wearing sweatshirts and I've come back to 30 degrees. So very nice. Yeah.
So it's here now. And I believe that the weather down south is like 360 days generally. It's like nice or something like that.
We're supposed to have 20 rainy days a year, aren't we?
Yeah, I think something like
that. Yeah, well, we're supposed to be sunny. We're supposed to be in the sunniest area of Spain. We're in the least polluted area as well, so a lot of stargazing.
You've got the observatory just up the road. We can see it on the mountain.
Yes, yeah. We think it's the ideal place to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you. And the fact that we're coming in September. So tell us a few of your like favorite stories around like the retreats that you've hosted there. Are there any like standouts in terms of like the experience the guests have kind of mirrored back to you in their feedback?
Don't we? I mean, we have it goes from one extreme where there's one group that comes every year. What would you say? Because can't give too much away, but we thought that the retreat was around what she does in life. It wasn't at all. It's about women getting rid of all their inhibitions, going naked in the pool, So
Brilliant.
don't know. And a lot of drinking on that one.
Okay.
And then we have the more serious ones, which was the writing retreat. She's coming back again next year. That's where anyone in whatever stage they are in there, it could just be an idea, they could be halfway through their book, whatever. So she is a world-class author, and she teaches people how to write, and then she brings out a coach. I suppose she is, isn't she?
Yeah,
They get sort of mindset coach. They get that. We've had yoga retreats. We had one. She's coming back next year. What was she? She was not yoga. Michelle Pilates. Oh my God! I was just looking at her and thinking, she was working them from about 7 o'clock in the morning. Just I mean, real hard graft. I mean, some of the stuff, when they were doing stomach crunches and they were having to hold literally just, I said, oh my God, you're brutal. So that was quite interesting.
On this.
So yeah, I was just going, no, I couldn't do that. We've had a big American group come out, that was all yoga and
it's I think what you were saying earlier, Emma, about picking your retreat venue and the fact that we cater for you. We had a Dutch hiking guy who came out twice, and he decided to save money that they would do the catering themselves. And
we got invited out with it. They said, do you want to come over for dinner? Because we were staying in the spa, because obviously we've got our own separate accommodation. Do you want to come over for dinner one night? It was just like, oh yeah, okay. All of the things I don't like. A big pile of boiled potatoes. No thanks. And then this stew of unknown origin. And I had to say, I just sat and watched him and I said, yeah, I'm not hungry. Thank you. But anyways.
But no, he said everyone's agreed that we're going to have a rota and everyone will take it in turns to cook and clear up and do the washing up. And poor old sod, he was in the kitchen till about midnight after the first night every night because everyone else just cleared off and left him to.
And he'd done a fully inclusive, so he bought all the drink. Well, we bought all the drink for him and all the food for him. He paid, obviously. But on the second retreat, they drank him dry on the first night. And we did say to him, don't include drink in that. But he decided not to listen. So the second retreat, he did then say, can you cater a couple of nights? And then if we were going to continue working with him again, he wanted us to cater all the time. But he wanted such a low rate. We just said, no, we can't quite match that.
No, but it was very entertaining, actually.
Yeah.
And it is endlessly fascinating just seeing people get to that stage where they come and travel day, the arrival day is always perhaps a little bit not fraught, but it's very tiring traveling, even if you just sat in an airport, sat on a plane, sat in the minibus. But seeing people then relax into our home, and into your wonderful retreat, and the transformations that people get during that time, it's a very rewarding thing to do, I think, to do what we do.
Yeah.
And also that drive up the hill, right? And then the first house as you drive down the drive.
Because when we were looking, we didn't see that many. We probably saw about 12 houses, didn't we? And when we got to this area, what was he, Cuban? Venezuelan? Argentinian. We got there in the end. And he said, what are you looking for? I said, curb appeal. But Spanish didn't understand what I meant. So he kept saying, is this curb appeal? And she's like, no. We have seen some horrific houses, that's all I'm going to say. But we were driving along the road and I didn't have high hopes. And then we come off the road down the driveway and I went, curb appeal, because we were just like going into a castle.
It is very dramatic, that bit, like you say, when you turn off, because you can't see the house and you turn into the driveway and suddenly it's there.
So, I mean, we've got people, there's a village across the Rambla, houses across the Rambla. We just got a new client. So she said, where are you then if you're in Partaloa? I said, oh, where are you? She read tomorrow. I said, oh, you can wave to me. So she said, are you in that big white house? And she said, yeah, that's our house. So she said, oh, what do you do there? And I don't know what the village think we do, but it's definitely not what we do. That's what I'm going to say.
Wow. That's the rumour mill.
The rumour mill, of Spain.
They probably think far more of us than they actually should.
Yeah. But it's very funny. Everybody in the village says, oh, we know Pat and Jane. It's just like, we don't know anyone. We keep ourselves quite isolated, I suppose, don't we?
I mean, we've had COVID and setting up a business.
People come to you, don't they? So
Well, the idea is new life in Spain. We were going to go to all the fiestas. We were going to learn Spanish so quickly. But 2 years of lockdown, it
Mm.
just didn't happen, you know. So we do need to make more of an effort and getting out.
Yeah.
Yes, there
There
we
you
go.
go. You heard
I've
it
said
here
it. I've
first.
declared it.
Declared it here.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant. So I just love the fact as well when I was sort of talking about my plans of like I want morning sessions and then like real spaciousness in the afternoon. You were like, yeah, that's the way to do it because a lot of people try and cram too much in. So
yeah,
Pat took me on a dog walk one morning and was like, oh, we could do like sunrise over there and we'll do a hike one morning to watch the sunrise. It's that kind of thing that I want to do because I love nature. I love being outdoors. I want to promote that in terms of like get these women out of their offices and out
yeah,
into nature, out into the fresh air.
yeah,
We've got a yoga instructor that comes and does yoga on the roof terrace as the sun's
yeah,
rising above the mountains. So all of those things are kind of like locked in. And then we've got the food, which is wonderful. And then we
yeah,
can work in the morning sessions around that. Obviously, we've got all the opportunities over the meals to have more conversation and deepening
yeah.
and connection just with each other. Because I think that's the one thing I'm picking up on at Expert Empires last week as well, with the whole conversation around, AI and the way technology is going, is human beings are still craving that
Mhm.
human to human connection, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's what I want to create as well is the environment where people just come away, they get their spaciousness, they get the pause that they need, they get to really reconnect to themselves, but they're actually also connecting with other women
Yeah.
that are also going through this kind of transformation as well. So yeah,
And we
I'm
found that, yeah, once you get that group and they really connect, they
mm,
want to stay connected
yeah,
forever then because
yeah,
they've experienced and they've shared so much whilst the facilitators facilitated that reveal or whatever, the
yeah.
epiphany that they've achieved. So, I mean, because obviously we sit on the sidelines of everything. So we see everything. And we go, "Oh, it's working really well. Oh,
Yeah.
that nice. I really, yeah, everyone's getting on. And obviously you're going to keep it quite small
Mhm.
as well, because we know that the bigger the group, the more sort of cliques and things you get. And that's not, we could actually accommodate 20 people here. And we have had big groups, but we both sat there and thought, A, we're knackered, but B,
Yeah.
but just the atmosphere was a bit, it just didn't, they didn't gel as a group. So, and I was telling someone today, actually, my coach, and I was saying, people may think it was a stupid decision because we are cutting off our nose in terms of revenue we could make. But I'm more about making sure everyone's comfortable and everyone is having that experience. So it's
Yeah.
all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've said ideally five would be a lovely number for me to bring
Yeah.
out, but we can go up
Yeah.
to eight, right? So
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Quite easily.
And
Yeah.
obviously, everybody has their own room. So the beds, how big are the beds? They're
oh yeah,
huge.
and comfy as well.
Um,
Oh my God, the
yeah.
sheets as well. I don't think I mentioned this to you. Like, how are the sheets so soft? I was like, these
Someone
are
else
like the
mentioned
silkiest
that.
sheets.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
arrived at your place, didn't I? And I had a siesta and I was like, oh, I don't know that I
Yeah.
can get out of this bed. But
Yeah,
yeah.
your first day you arrived and then, is she all right? She's like been in her room for ages.
But that's the thing, right? Anything goes. Like it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, the writers' retreat, a guy arrived, one guy and how many women? Five, six women. And he was fine the first day. Was it the second day he went downhill?
Yeah, he had a burp or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
second day he went downhill. I think the Pat had taken everyone out for a walk, and he came down to have a drink, and he said, "We knew he wasn't well." And I said, "Oh, do you want me to call the doctor?" And he said, "No, no, no. I think I might have COVID." And I went, "Oh, right, okay. So what plan are we going to have then?" And he said, "Well, I think I need to, exclude myself." Is that the
Yeah.
word? Yeah, exclude myself. And I went, "Okay, that's what you feel. I've got tests if you want to do a test. It's up to you." He went, "No, no, no. He didn't have COVID." But we just kept going up every hour to make sure he wasn't dead. He wasn't dead. He was just sleeping very heavily. So that was a bit. Yeah, I felt sorry for him because he was the only man as well, and it was just like,
Oh,
um, he was upstairs in the room on the terrace, so he was just sitting out in the morning before everyone got up and doing all the sunsets and stuff like that. Wasn't he? But, I mean, we had the photographers retreat back in February. They brought out some models, got amazing pictures. And Pat was taking them out really early in the morning to see the sunrise, wasn't it? So that's one thing. You could go out and have your breakfast looking at the sunrise. So very
Yeah,
pretty.
I'm down for that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I love that. And I think, yeah, just to reflect back to you, that I think that's, for me, I feel like I'm in such a safe pair of hands, because it is a lot to hold this space for a
Yeah.
group of people. Like my first retreat, I had my sister helping me and I had 9 people, and it was a lot, a
Yeah.
lot in one day. And I
Yeah.
had one person stay that first one. And I think it took me about 3 weeks to recover energetically, because it
Yeah.
takes a lot to hold that space.
Yeah.
I love it, but it takes a lot. And I think the thought of doing it something for 4 nights feels overwhelming without knowing
Yeah.
that there's that safe pair of hands that are actually looking out for me as well. So I know
Yeah.
that, if I don't have the energy to be at a dinner, for example, you're going to be there still serving my
I'll sit down with them and eat while
exactly.
you cooks.
Exactly. I
Don't
love
forget,
that.
obviously, I think we're doing yoga nidra, aren't we? One evening.
Yeah.
Are we doing sound healing? I
Yeah,
can't
I hope
remember.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sound healing. And then one of the other activities, depending on the weather, but in September it should be lovely, is the outdoor cinema, where Pat and I are the usherettes, usher and usherette with the ice cream and the popcorn. The biggest thing that night when we do the open air cinema is the argument as to which film they're going to watch.
Oh, I don't know what's a favourite.
Oh, it's always Bridesmaids. I've never
Bridesmaids, which makes me blush terribly because of the conversation that's right at the start of the
Yeah.
film. So
I don't know.
Excuse himself.
I think it would have to be something a little bit more musical, like either The Greatest
Yeah.
Showman or Dirty Dancing's got to be up there with the favourites.
Yeah.
yes,
Those, and they go, and
I think a good
down.
thing along
Yeah.
is the perfect thing.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely.
yeah.
Really.
We've
Amazing.
even got the karaoke machine if you feel
What?
like that.
You get that
Yeah,
quiet?
karaoke machine.
Oh my God, I can just hear that bouncing off all the valley as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had a lot of birthday parties with one retreat. So they kept having parties every evening and they would like rotate where it was going to be. We had to get up really early the next day for some reason. I can't remember why. And the party was at the pool. Well, our bedroom, when we're in the spa, it's to that. And thinking, oh my God, we're not going to get any sleep. But you didn't hear a thing. Literally
Really?
did not hear a thing. So the great thing is if somebody's tired and they want to go to bed, we'll just say, right, okay, that's not where the party is tonight. The party's here tonight. But yeah, because it's such a big house,
Yeah,
no one hears it really.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. What have we not covered? Anything?
The pool, the jacuzzi. We
Yeah,
haven't covered that.
yeah.
Um,
I had a dip, and it was refreshing and lovely. So I
I
very
went in
pool
the
area.
I woke up yesterday with what I thought was a sprained ankle. I couldn't walk on it. I had no idea what I'd done with it. Sat in the jacuzzi yesterday at lunchtime. Ankle all right now. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was a bit hot though. I think it was 37 degrees when it
37 degrees.
was it the day before it was. So
It wasn't. I think.
well, it felt that way anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the jacuzzi, the pool,
Yeah, we've talked about the seating areas and things
yeah.
like that. And miles and miles of walks just literally on our doorstep. So if people want to go off and have a little stroll on their own, it's very hard to get lost on the Rambler because it's the only flat bit. So
I mean, the walk into the village. We went through the village with you. We didn't. Yeah. So people can walk into the village. It's like a 10-minute walk. I mean, it is literally only there, but you have to walk round, and that's really pretty. Very oldie Spain. And then if people want to see more of Spanish life, we can take people into the next nearest town, which is Alba. We went through there, didn't we, with you? Yeah.
Yeah, we went tapas.
Yeah, tapas. Yeah, and that's very pretty at night when it's not so hot. Nice ice cream parlor in the middle of the square, which is beautiful with all the
Square was
fountains and things going. We've covered everything then, haven't we?
So I think we've given people a pretty good overview of what we offer here.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we haven't actually mentioned is the name of the house, which is how people can actually find you on social media.
Yes.
So
yes, Casa Torreta Blanca retreat venue, but just put Casa Torreta Blanca, and we're in Partaloa, which is Partaloa. And when people want to know where we are, we say, right, okay, we're in southern Spain, but if you think of where Murcia Airport is and then where Almeria is, we're halfway there. So, in between.
Amazing. Oh, thanks so much for coming on, guys. I think it just
Thank
adds
you
a
for
little bit
asking
of
us.
flavour for what we got coming up. So yeah, if anyone is interested in the retreat, I am running a couple of discovery calls every week. So I will make sure that that link is in the show notes, as well as the link to the retreat landing page and the Casa Teresa Blanca's direct website if you want to check them out as well. So thank you both for
Oh,
coming
yes,
on.
there is. Sorry, just one last thing. There is a guide, a self-guided virtual tour on
Yes.
the website, so that people can explore all of our nooks and
Yeah.
crannies.
Yeah.
And there's also a couple of videos on YouTube. If you put Casa Treta Blanca, we've got one that's about 5 minutes, shows you all the places, and one that's about 1.5 minutes. So,
Oh, the
So
other
just
thing
to
we
give
haven't
you
mentioned is the animals. Like,
oh,
Oh,
yes.
yes. Where's the dogs?
Um, okay, so we do have two dogs. One is our English dog that we brought over with us. She's 13,
Pretty much.
big girl. And then just before lockdown, we'd seen Zorro. Zorro is Spanish for wolf in the market. They don't sell them in the fox. Sorry, they don't sell them in the market, but they're there to get money for that because every retired woman and man in Spain has to rescue puppies and cats and whatever. And so we'd seen Zorro in just before lockdown, and then we'd gone into lockdown, and then I was like, oh my God, we don't know how long we've been in lockdown. He's then going to not be able to be homed. So we phoned them up and we said, can we have him? So you weren't allowed out at all, unless you were going to the vets, the doctors, the pharmacy, or the shops. So we had to go to get Zorro, and then he came home. So we got Zorro. He is the mad Spanish dog. They both very calm. Once they get to know you, they're very calm, like within 30 seconds. And then we do have four cats. Two of our cats are our own, which are Mr. Henry and Lady Luna. And then well,
We got
we
adopted.
got adopted by two ginger cats called George and Princess.
Oh my God,
So
and George
they've
was a fan of mine.
yes, George was a
He-
fan of yours.
yes.
Yes, yeah, he
Oh,
loved you. So yes, so they are here. But if people have an allergy, then obviously we can make accommodation for that too.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're not allowed in any of the bedrooms, so the bedrooms are fur free.
Yeah. Nice.
So they stay in our part of the house when we have a retreat, which is connected to the house, but not in the house. So they would be wandering around the gardens, obviously. But, I mean, they might have barked for a little bit when you first arrived, Emma, but then
Oh
they're all
yeah,
right.
no.
Apart from Zorro, the next day he does forget that he knows you. So he might go, "What?" And then you go, oh, no, I know you.
Oh, well, it was I'm an animal lover, so it was lovely to have them around. And actually, George made me like cats even more. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well done,
Anyway,
George.
so thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in to my listeners, and as always, take care, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.